Hi everybody, this is Nikki and I am here, and that was my son, and I am here with another video that is my personal experience, my personal opinion, not to be used as medical advice or to be taken seriously at all. I had the idea for this video because of some questions I saw come up on a Facebook user group, and a very common question, which was coming from people who were considering moving to the 670G. As well as from people who have already moved to the 670G, they just haven't begun the process yet of, whether it be training or maybe they're a couple days in or whatever. And so I have a lot to say, of course, because we know that. But I think that these are very reasonable considerations for those who are considering or for those who are about to move into it. And this is in no way a review, because I've done a review, and it is in no way a criticism, even though I have done that openly in 92 other videos. But it really is not a criticism. I will state that I love my 670G, and I want very badly to be an auto, and I'm extending it a little bit. I used to go in from 10:30 at night until 4:30 in the morning, and now it's like 9 o'clock at night till 4:30 in the morning. So I'm working my way back in. But I will also like to say, before going any further, that the 670G did something absolutely undeniably amazing for me. And that is, it got my attention, and I now am a type 1 diabetic fanatic who's watching all my sugars and everything else. And although I was on the verge, that's why I went on the 670G, because I was ready for that. So, there was that. After 13 years of being a diabetic, it was about time I was ready, but I was ready, but I wasn't there. And it was trying to track what was happening with my pump and tracking my sugars that got me here. And so I am very grateful for the 670G. And so it was a boot camp of sorts for me. And now I'm ready to move, and now I'm ready to, debate with others, what's good and what's bad about it, whatever. Okay. But this is not a criticism and not a review. Okay, so this is what I was thinking. For the people who are considering it, and even for those who are just moving into it, there are a couple things that are strikingly different from pumps past. And the main one is how active it is. That's the thing. Whereas the other ones, you did everything to the pump. Now this one is doing things to you. So there are a couple of general questions that I think maybe are very appropriate to ask, whether you're in consideration of or transitioning into, to try to figure out, to get a gauge on maybe what kind of experience you might have, or even just what to keep an eye out for. So here's my first one. And I'm not alone in thinking this. In fact, I will include a link this time. I know I threaten it and I don't do it, but Gary Shiner, I believe, does a really nice review of the pump, and I feel like it's very fair. And I feel like it really hits both the pros and the cons. And he also believes the same thing, that people who are relatively stable are probably going to do better on this pump. So it brings to my mind one question is, what type of diabetic are you? And it's not why are you that type of diabetic, it's just what type are you. So people who I think in general have more stable blood sugars, whether it be because they have easily controlled diabetes or because they have very well controlled diabetes. I think people who have very stable blood sugars are going to do better. I believe it's because the part of the flaw in the pump is that with the delay. So when a person's blood sugars start to move, it can cause a delay in your sensor glucose, your SG, and now you have this pump acting on it. So people who are stable don't experience that quite as often or to quite the same extent as those who really swing. So you might have a better experience. So what are you? Are you more stable, or are you a swinger, if you will allow that? It is something to consider. And I also even think that because there's two different types probably of people who are stable. I think one is because it's just easily controlled. Maybe that's just their brand of diabetes. My husband has coworkers who can go and have fish and chips for lunch and not do insulin, or maybe hit like a 175 or something. I myself, if I look at a donut, I experience a contact high and I hit a 380. So there are people who are just more easily controlled. And then I think there are the ones who are just more tightly controlled from their effort. The ones who are really exhibiting incredible behaviors and they control their blood sugars that way, you might even have a different experience, and that might be that you get a little frustrated because you have to kind of give up some control in order to go into auto mode. In general, though, a question is, what kind of diabetic are you? How are your blood sugars in general? Because that might kind of determine, generally speaking, what kind of experience you might have on this pump. I'm a swinger. Again, if you will allow, I'm a blood sugar swinger. I have been told time and time again that I'm very brittle. I absolutely hate the term, but if that really does exist, then I'm obviously that. So what I think that people that are more like me are going to see, because my blood sugars are not stable by nature, I think they're going to have a more difficult time adjusting to the pump, and specifically auto mode, but even manual mode with the Suspends. So because I swing, my blood sugars move too quickly for my SG to stay with it. And then what will happen is that then I have either a suspend kicking in or I have a minimum delivery kicking in. And those are often, I think, inappropriately timed because of the delay. So often I've already corrected, and now here comes my pump behind me to do the same thing. And then I have this kind of accumulative effect that's not necessarily the best one. So I'm not bashing. I'm not criticizing. I'm really not criticizing. I'm trying to figure out how to plan on that and work with it. I was going to say more. The next question is, and this was, looking back, this is maybe where I have such a problem, is, are you used to Suspends and are you used to temp basals? Because I think that this is what this pump is going to do, again, assuming that you have, blood sugar swings, right? Are you used to your Suspends, and are you used to temp basals, and are you used to the consequences of those? I don't mean that they're bad. I just mean, are you used to them? Never, ever, ever did I ever use a Suspend in order to control my blood sugar. I always corrected with carbs. That may have been a true flaw on my part. So when this pump started to suspend me, it was spinning me out, and I had no idea what was going on, and I had no idea how to, balance it out. So if you are used to Suspends, this might be just fine, and you might have a lot better time figuring out how to kind of pull that back in. If you're not used to Suspends, then at least if you're going on to it, it's something to keep an eye out for, because the pump seems to do quite a big deal of it, quite a big amount of it, if you're swinging. There's that again. And also I would like to say that if, I think it's a little bit of a pump design flaw that it doesn't communicate it better to me that it's suspending or decreasing my insulin. For me, those things have a really big effect, and it's not that I want to override it. It's just I want to know that it's doing it, because then it might help me make my next decision differently than if I don't know what's going on. And in fact, it amazes me every day how much insulin I haven't gotten, that if I had known, maybe I could have worked with it. So again, there are plenty of behaviors that you can incorporate where you can keep an eye on those things, be aware, and work with it. Not a criticism, but just a thought. I think that's what I got. I had more. It's just some thoughts. Points for consideration. If you're going to your trainer and you are, and you've never suspended before, maybe you talk about what can I look for in this pump? How do I know it's suspending? And what can I expect? Or how does the pump counter its own suspend? Or, I don't know. Now I'm just making stuff up. But anyway, hope you guys are having a great day, and thanks for watching.